Let's dive into the fascinating world of the head and neck, the uppermost part of our body. You see, the head is like the boss of our whole system, and it's got some pretty cool stuff going on inside. So, the head and neck form the uppermost part of our body. The head includes the skull, which houses important parts like the meninges, brain, pituitary gland, special senses, teeth, and blood vessels. Our brain is where our intelligence resides, and humans are considered the most evolved creatures because we have a lot of nervous tissue. Because of the increased amount of nervous tissue, our cranial cavity had to get bigger. As a result, our lower jaw or mandible had to move back a bit. Our eyes also shifted forward and are now on each side of our nose. Have you ever noticed how our external nose became more prominent over time? Interestingly, our external ear is now just a vestigial structure, and our chin has moved forward to make room for a broad tongue. The tongue is crucial for speech as it helps us articulate words and communicate effectively. That's why humans have a relatively large vocalization center in the brain, allowing us to speak and express ourselves distinctly. Speech is one of the unique and chief characteristics of being human. So, the skull is made up of various bones, and each bone has its own specific region. We have the frontal bone, which lies right in front of the skull. Then, there's the parietal bone, forming the top of the skull. You can see it if you look from the top. Moving to the back, we have the occipital bone, which forms the back of the skull. Next up is the temporal region, which is above our ears. It's cool how the sense of hearing and balance is all happening in the temporal lobe of our brain, right there on the inner aspect of this region. Then, there are some interesting regions around our eyes. We have the ocular region, which surrounds the large orbital openings. It's where we find our precious eyeballs, along with all the muscles, nerves, and blood vessels needed to move and supply those muscles. Don't forget about the lacrimal apparatus and our protective eyelids. Moving on, we have the auricular region, which is all about our external ears and the external auditory meatus. Air waves enter our ears through this meatus. Then they change into fluid waves and finally into nerve impulses, which are received in the temporal lobe of our cerebrum. Amazing, right? And let's not miss the nasal region. It's all about our external nose, the muscles around it, and the cavity associated with it. Oh, and by the way, the sense of smell comes from this region. Now, let's talk about the oral region. It includes our upper and lower lips and the angle of our mouth where the lips join on each side. You know, this is where numerous muscles are present to express our feelings and emotions. These muscles are part of the muscles of facial expression, and they show so much without even using words. Inside our oral cavity, we find our mobile talking tongue. It's pretty incredible how the tongue is not swallowed, even though everything we put on it passes downwards. The tongue is held in position by extrinsic muscles arising from surrounding bones, and it helps us articulate so many sounds for speech. Plus, it's protected by our 32 teeth in adulthood. Now, let's move on to the neck. It's like a tubular continuation of our head, and it leads down to our chest or thorax. Each half of the neck has two triangles between the anterior and posterior median lines. One is the posterior triangle, lying between the chin-turning muscle, sternocleidomastoid, the shrugging muscle, trapezius, and the middle 1/3 of the clavicle. It contains important nerves and vessels. The other one is the anterior triangle, which lies between the anterior median line and the anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid muscle. In this triangle, we find the common carotid artery and its numerous branches. Cool, right? The skull plays a crucial role as it lodges our brain, teeth, and many special senses. The weight of the brain is not felt as it is floating in the cerebrospinal fluid. Our personality, power of speech, attention, concentration, judgment, and intellect are because of the brain that we possess and its proper use. That's it for the video. Let's recap. Frontal bone lies in front of the skull. Parietal bone lies on top of the skull and is seen from the top. Occipital bone forms the back of the skull. Temporal region is located above the ears and is involved in hearing and balance. It is appreciated in the temporal lobe of the brain. Ocular region surrounds the large orbital openings and contains the eyeballs, muscles to move the eyeballs, nerves, and blood vessels. Auricular region includes the external ear and external auditory meatus, which receives air waves and converts them into nerve impulses in the temporal lobe. Nasal region involves the external nose, its muscles, and the associated cavity for the sense of smell. Oral region comprises the upper and lower lips and the angle of the mouth, with numerous facial muscles for expressing feelings and emotions. Oral cavity houses the talking tongue, which is mobile and plays a key role in articulating speech, held in position by extrinsic muscles and protected by teeth. Posterior triangle lies between sternocleidomastoid, trapezius, and middle one-third of the clavicle, containing important brachial plexus and subclavian vessels. Anterior triangle lies between the anterior median line and the anterior border of sternocleidomastoid muscle, containing the common carotid artery and its branches, with the isthmus of the thyroid gland in the lower part.
Make TaughtWell your study buddy to learn anytime, anywhere without carrying a load of books with you. Sign up now and get a free trial.